This video episode is long in the making because before the pandemic, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, and we were doing that series of musicians who are couples who are also working musicians, we planned to wrap the series up with these people, Stephanie Schneiderman and Tony Furtado. And now we are finally here, what seems like centuries ago. Hello.
Hello.
Glad you could make it. You both had careers before you got together, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, everybody wants to know how you met.
Oh.
Everybody wants to know that.
We met at Dante's. We were each there by ourselves to see like an acquaintance of each of ours named Scott Fisher have his CD release party. And guess who introduced us?
Lisa Lapine.
That is correct.
Because she introduced everyone to everyone.
She introduced us. So we just became friends.
She
and
said,
then
you guys should write music
you guys
together.
should collaborate.
Is that right?
She said, you guys should collaborate.
Yeah,
Word for word, like that's a quote.
that's right.
And of course, since it was Lisa Lapine, she had to be right.
She had to be right. She was always right.
Yeah. That's great. So what happened?
You mean like how did the meeting happen? Is that what you mean?
I know what happened. So
I know what happened.
So I was actually getting ready to hit the road for a tour right then, and I remember wearing my schlubby clothes that night too. I was like, what am I gonna be? I'm just gonna go see some guy play. And then Lisa Lapine introduces us, and I'm like, oh, hey, Stephanie Schneiderman, it's good to meet you. But then the next day, I remember flipping on Kink Radio and hearing a really just wonderful song, great singer. I was like, who is that? And then they came on and said it was Stephanie Schneiderman. I was like, yeah, I just met her last night. Went on her website, sent an email off.
Back when websites were primitively themselves.
And the rest was history?
Rest was history.
Yeah, we became friends and then it grew. So.
Yeah, totally.
So, okay, so there's that kind of, there's that chemistry, but that doesn't guarantee there's going to be musical chemistry, does it? Or does it?
Not necessarily, you're right. But usually
totally
if
true.
you're drawn to the whole of somebody, you better like their music.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
that would be tricky.
about
That would
that,
be
yes.
tricky.
Yeah.
If you really liked somebody, but you're not into their music, I mean, that would be a deal breaker for me. So.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
That's good.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. I couldn't get past that. That'd be tricky.
Did you have a favorite song of each other's at that time?
I don't really think that I knew about you and your music, but I came out to see you at the art museum.
The art museum,
You
that's
did
right.
this really cool gig.
I think I gave you a copy of American Gypsy.
That's right. Yeah, and I loved that album. Yeah.
And my favorite song at that point that I knew of yours was Dead Voices.
Dead Voices.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one I heard on Kink.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
An
Wow.
old version of it.
With Keith Schreiner.
Keith wasn't. I wasn't
that was
working with
before
Keith.
that.
It was before that.
Before that, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
It was before my music became Keithified, as I like to say. It's true.
Did you start playing together right away?
We
You
didn't.
just messing around?
I mean, I have to say, like, us playing together and making music together was more of like a convenience thing.
Yeah.
Like I would join you on a tour. That was mostly that would be the case, or he would join me on some gigs or small tours. And so I would just sit in because, well, I could lend my voice or I could lend some other instrument, and then vice versa. So it's still pretty separate. We just join each other a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Until the pandemic hit.
Until the pandemic hit. Then it really became like we were each
We
other's
better
full-
rehearse.
We rehearsed.
And you were a band.
And our son was the drummer
Yeah, that's
for
right.
part of the time.
What is his name?
Liam.
Liam.
Yeah.
When I was writing for the Oregonian, I interviewed you, and you were very pregnant.
Yes.
With Liam.
I remember this at the tea house.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so he's playing drums?
Well, I mean, just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of drums. he's
a
playing
good
piano and
percussionist.
he sings a lot.
I would guess that the one instrument that the parents would least like their offspring to play is the drums.
Yeah, he's not seriously playing the drum. I mean, it's just like he'll gravitate toward the drums and hit them a little bit, or play them on the show. But he's like he's learning some piano from Steph.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What kind of music does he like?
He loves
Hip-hop,
He's been
right?
into Queen lately, actually.
Queen? That's great.
I have to say. And when he was very little, we played a lot of Paul Brady. We played a lot of Tom Waits, and then even some Led Zeppelin. He used to say, I remember when he was 3, he was like, "Mommy, do you want to see my rock and roll?" I was like, "I want to see your rock and roll. It's like all I want to do is see your rock and roll." And he would just
Spaz out.
spaz out. That was his rock and roll. Spaz out. But I think he's pretty open to a lot of different music.
Because the parents of drummers are saints.
Right.
You know, really.
That's right.
One time I interviewed Gina Schock, the drummer for the Go-Go's. Remember the Go-Go's? And she was like Miss John Bonham. Okay.
Yes.
And I interviewed her parents, and because she was from Baltimore,
Oh, yeah.
and her parents were just, yes, we just let her up in her room and play.
Yeah, it's loud. Yeah.
So you're gonna play some for us today. Now, we've already recorded 2 songs, and so how did you decide which one who was going to do what and when?
On the stage, we pretty much made that decision. No, just right before the gig, you're like, I don't know, what are you gonna do? I don't know, what are you gonna do? It became that kind.
You know what's interesting about the songs we picked?
What's that?
They're both the title tracks from your new album and my newest studio album.
That's true. Yeah, I
So
guess.
we grabbed the title tracks.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So there was no discussion.
Barely. We
Barely,
just ran
okay.
through it real quick at home, and then yeah.
Okay, so we're going to play one of them right now. Which one would you like us to play first?
You know, maybe Crossfire, because there's something to tell about that one for sure.
Sure, we could do Crossfire. It's the title track to my new CD that I
Well, that was
finished.
too easy.
Did you think it'd be like a big
Trying to get
discussion
some
about it?
dynamics here about the relationship, and everything went fine. So tell me about the song.
It's a song that I've been recording a new album over the last couple years. Funded it through house concerts and donations and pre-purchases. And at first it was going to be an EP, and it was going to be much more acoustic. And as I went into the studio, so I produced it this time, stepped into the role of producer. It's the first time I've produced one of my own studio albums, so it was really a new experience for me. I mean, I've produced more like live albums and other things, and I've also produced for other people, but just on my own. And of course, the last producer I worked with was Keith Schreiner.
Yes.
And a lot of that sensibility kind of made its way into this
I could hear
album.
that. I could hear that.
I decided to make it more of a full-length album when this song came along.
Yeah.
I wrote this song, and it kind of felt like this, to me, sort of epitomizes this, what I was trying to blend together between all the places I've been musically. When I started out, it was more in the folk realm, and kind of went more in pop, and then made my way into electronic bass and drums and those textures. So I really wanted to bring some of those textures in, but sometimes it's hard to put those two worlds together. You kind of have to commit to like one or the other, and it's tricky. So this song's, hopefully for me, it sort of epitomizes that like blending together of the worlds, because it has textures from both electronic and very organic also. Plus the lick it has this like Appalachian kind of hint about it, and the song is very pop, like the melody, and so it sort of combines a lot of the worlds that I've that I've danced between throughout the years.
Let's listen.
Pass your anger like it's salt. Salt across the table. Take it deep and you can't keep straight. Truth from fable. I will always come back to love you like you are. Every one of us deserves a brand new start. To forgive the ones who leave the biggest mark is the hardest part. We got caught in your crossfire. Fire from the cross you bear. The cross you bear is a heavy heart, salted with the tears you tear. I will always come back to love you like you are. Every one of us deserves a brand new start. To forgive the ones who leave the biggest mark is the hardest part. You were always fighting to open a closed heart. So we couldn't tell your calluses apart. And the spinning made a wind and it blew hard. It blew hard. Now the walls are painted red, and your eyes match its hue. But you have the blue to cool the fire and leave behind what they passed to you. I will always come back to love you like you are. Every one of us deserves a brand new start. To forgive the ones who leave the biggest mark is the hardest part. You were always fighting to open a closed heart. So we couldn't tell your calluses apart. And the spinning made a wind and it blew hard. It blew hard.
Okay, I could hear the Keith Schreiner influence in that song. Yeah, I could.
Good. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad.
I did a DJ gig for about 3 years at the Joe Bar, and I did an electronic set almost every week. And I would always play a track from your Keith album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
There was a server there who absolutely just would lose her mind every time I played you.
That's nice.
So this period of time we're emerging from right now, you are one of the few people who were actually musically active during that.
Did what we could.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like once it hit, I had a bunch of tours actually planned because I was already off the road for 6 months, taking some time off to write and record and do some more sculpture work and stuff. And then March hit, and that was when I was supposed to go out on tour. Ooh. And so all the festivals that I had booked, everything, every little tour, wasn't a ton, but it was enough to be like, I'm ready to do these.
And at first
Gone.
it was hard to accept.
I couldn't accept it.
Like,
You
I was like, there's gonna be no touring.
like, no.
He's like, no, June, things might. I'm like, yeah, I don't. This is a long haul situation.
Poof.
So
So that anyway, when I knew that the March tour was gone, I was like, we got to stream. I got to get in and do something, because this is the moment to learn how to do it and get in while people need something to see. So we started with...
It was weekly at first.
It was a Thursday, yeah, and it went to being weekly. We gave it a name, called it Thursday Nights Live.
That inside twisted and unkind. Let me stand the shoulder you apply.
And after a couple of months of doing it, or a few months,
We decided to bring in some of our friends because we missed seeing them, and we ended up, so we would set up in our living room with, you know, the cameras, and you're getting used to so many new things. I mean, of course, there's like sound, the layer of sound issues and the layer of like what it visually looks like, but then there's this third dimension of streaming and making sure that it's aligned and there's no latency, so there's like this whole other... and so what we would do is we'd set up in our living room, and then we'd bring our cameras out to the like outdoor patio and feature a friend of ours. We started with Casey Neal, and then we did Dean, Luke, and Rachel Price, and it just grew from there. And we wanted
Saida Wright and
oh yeah, we had amazing performers throughout the time.
Chris Purica.
Three-Leg Torso. We had Dirty Martini or Swan Sovereign.
Yeah.
And
How many members of Three Leg did you have?
There's two.
Bela and Courtney.
That's right. And what we would do is we'd have our guests out in the patio, and then for the finale, so we'd feature them for a song, then we'd come back and finish the show, just the two of us, feature them through our living room windows, where
the chimney.
Tony built like a couple platform stages just outside the windows with like awnings to protect them from the rain and in case there are any elements happening. And then we'd poke out microphones outside, and we had like trumpet and accordion and pedal steel and saxophone and you name it in the window.
It was like some folk version of Laugh-In or something, you know, or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
And it never stopped being just hilarious in the moment. We even had storytellers. We had Courtney Highmeister come and tell a story, and Scott Poole come and do a poem from the window. And then we would get sponsorship from like wineries and breweries and distilleries,
coffee shops,
so that they would pay for the guests, so we could offer and guarantee them a nice, like pre-COVID, here's the regular amount that you would normally get, that you should get, and then we would just make tips. It was really fun.
So have you stopped doing that?
It's on hiatus.
Not forever, because it's a new platform that will always stay with us. It'll never go away.
It's just, it became a bit all-encompassing for us. And now that things are opening up a little bit, and we've got some gigs to play, each of us, you know, there's planning for that, and there's still stuff that Steph is doing for her album, and I'm in the process of making a new album right now, too. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
He's recording in the basement this whole year.
So are you still going to continue to sort of be a band together? When all this stuff starts opening up?
I mean, I think we're always elements of each other's bands because if we can, we sit in with each other and add. Our sounds have probably each grown, you know, in a specific way because of the other one, because of each other's influence.
Certainly,
I think.
Yeah, definitely. I've also like. I've never been I don't think I've ever been that good of a sideman, like as far as being a chameleon to fit inside of someone's songs, but I learned a lot this past year and a half, like figuring out what works best with Steph's songs. So that's been a growth thing for me. And I feel like
playing a lot of drums on his songs, which is fun. So
it's been super cool.
Yeah.
Rhythm machine.
It's been really fun.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So your album is coming out.
Well, I don't know when mine's going to come out, but
mine's. I have plans to put it out in the fall.
In the fall.
Yeah, coming right up.
Good, boy. So have you had any gigs yet? Any like? What's that? What is that like now?
You were the first.
I had a gig that was out at someone's farm out in Westland, and felt so good. I mean, mine was outside and outdoors, and he just played a gig. It was like a true gig.
Yeah, it was kind of Scary.
In a venue.
In a venue.
Where was that?
Up in Prosser, Washington. And it was indoors, half capacity, and I'm on stage and people were optional mask kind of thing. So I was a little, they were supposed to all be vaccinated, but it's like you wonder.
Right.
You want to make sure everyone's being safe. Right. And there's this thing that's in my head now. It's like, whoa, no, it's like people need to have masks on. Just because that's where we're at. It's like this transitional time, it feels like.
Does that affect your playing?
I think what affected my playing was just being on the stage and knowing there's people watching, because I haven't had that for a year and a half, with applause and people giving me feedback right there. It's like, it was really cool, but it took a minute to remember that. Yeah. And once it came back, I was like, oh, this,
I mean, one thing that's interesting is because we've done so many, we did 31 shows for Thursday Nights Live. 31, shows that we would rehearse and prepare for and then promote, and it was like, all the effort that goes into it. It doesn't feel as foreign.
Right.
It's right there.
Totally.
Everything's right there.
Right.
But having information back from the audience is
That's
amazing.
what it was,
because when you're in your living room and you just like pour your heart out in the song and you end and you have this big moment of ending, and then it's just like silence. And you can't, I never got past the silence.
I mean, we could have had Liam out there just going,
woohoo! And the silence is, it's ingrained, I think, in all of our brains to know that silence is like bad news.
Right.
Right.
It's like dead air on the radio.
Bad
totally.
news. Bad news,
yeah.
Silence means something's wrong.
Something's wrong, yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I made a slight error in putting my radio show together. I mean, I just obviously slid something a little bit over in the timeline, and I had about 15 seconds of dead air. And I listened to my show on Friday nights just because I like all the songs, right? And here comes 15 seconds of dead air. And
15
I'm going
seconds
like,
is forever.
But then it kicked in.
Time is funny.
It's awful.
Seconds.
That's terrible. You don't ever want that. This is all good now. It's not all good now, but it's better.
It's getting there.
It's getting there, yeah.
It's that, like I said, it's that transitional kind of state right now. It's,
Well, the summer's an interesting time because so many people are just hiring, these private concerts in their backyard. Like I'm doing a ton of those kinds of shows this summer, and so it's nice. It's like keeping things intimate and personal and keeping us busy.
Which fits into what your music. I mean, it's like that's what I mean, you're not doing Bohemian Rhapsody, although you could try it.
that would be interesting.
Okay, let's listen to the last tune.
Okay.
And then we'll say goodbye. That's a banjo of some sort.
That is called a cello banjo.
Aha.
And a fan of mine gave that to me years ago, and she bought it to learn how to play banjo on it. You don't do that with a cello banjo because it's big and the strings are thick, like they're the four low strings of a classical guitar. So you don't learn how to play banjo on it. Anyway, so she gave that to me and said, can you do something with this? And I let it sit in my studio for a little bit. Then once I started picking it up, I started singing with it, and songs just kind of came out.
Angrier songs?
Yeah.
Darker.
It was easy. I think
songs.
that's mainly because of the thing, what was going on at the time. I was parting ways with management, label, things were shifting, and the song that we did is
that you're about to do.
That I'm about to do.
We haven't done yet.
It's an empowering song that I wrote.
What do you mean?
It's like me coming away from that relationship of label management, all that stuff, and saying, all right, I'm a little shaken up, but I got this. I can do this still. I can still, get on my feet. I still got a voice. They didn't take charge of my mind or anything. I've got my faculties.
I think that our role in all of this is, at least it has been for me, and of course everybody else at KMHD, and it sounds for you and a lot of other people, is to comfort and inspire.
Yeah,
You know.
true.
And to stay inspired, to be able to do that,
Well, yeah.
to stay inspired.
Yeah, that can be tough.
And the name of the tune again?
Broken Bell.
Broken Bell. Let's listen to it.
Tolling nose cracked my shell, don't waste your hammer on a broken bell. A broken bell, a broken bell, don't waste your hammer on a broken bell. Shadows rise when they hear the call, shine the light and you watch 'em fall. Watch 'em fall with the coming day, shine the light and they fade away. Well, I let you in, see inside. You will never change my mind. You will never change my mind. Your lies with a rusty tongue, and you built your house with the deed you done. The deed you done got a ringing sound. Deed you done gonna tear you down. Well, I let you in, see inside. You will never change mine. You will never change my mind. Copper and tin for a shiny skin. Shiny skin, shimmering new. Copper and tin to ring it true. Tolling nose cracked my shell, don't waste your hammer on a broken bell. A broken bell, a broken bell, don't waste your hammer on a broken bell. Well, I let you in, see inside. You will never change my mind.
Never change my mind.
You will never change my mind.
Never change my mind.
thank you for coming out. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the music. Thanks for the year of music, however long it's been. And it's always nice to see you.
Likewise.
It's a lot of fun to see
Yeah.
you too.
Okay. And as we like to say at the end of all these, that's entertainment.